Hola, boa tarde, todas as pessoas. Feliz quinta-feira. Hey, y'all. It's Juneteenth. It's your girl during the day. Can you believe it? It occurred to me yesterday when I was scheduling the live. I was like, wait, it's a holiday in America. It's also a holiday here, not Juneteenth. It's Corpus Christi, I think, something. I don't know. It's a holiday in Portugal, but not the holiday. But anyway, I was like, why do I have to stay up till midnight when I could do daytime? Everybody's off today. So yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to be seen. I'm so happy to be here. So happy y'all tuned in. I'm not expecting a big crowd because some of y'all is barbecuing, chilling, resting as I was a few minutes ago. Had to take my afternoon nap. Now that I'm in this um, post Portuguese class environment, I'm like, oh, I can take my naps again, which is very important because tomorrow I have a very early morning. I'm restarting my fitness journey. And so I have an early morning Pilates class at a new studio. So that means I have to like do something I don't do, which is set an alarm. So it was more of a reason why I had to come in early. So hey, want to say hi to y'all in the chat, chatty chat. Some of y'all are like, wait, why did my alert go off? Did she set the time wrong again? No, she did not. She just planned ahead. Hey, Jametta was first in the chat. How are you? Hey, hey, hey. We have a channel member in the house, Cheryl PhD. Hey, hey, hey. All right, all right. Hey, how you doing? Got Rally for the World coming in from ATL. Hey, Kay Renee, how you doing? Jackie. Hey, 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 Harlem Minded. Happy Juneteenth. Hey, Aurora, how are you? Hey, Aileen. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So it's like noon, I think, for East Coast, and maybe like 9-ish for the West Coast. Okay, ABX girl. Hey, 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 Crystal. Hey, y'all. Hey, I know this is like so weird. I'm like, my lighting, I'm like, am I getting myself? Am I properly lit? This is a daytime. I'm just not used to this. And my freckles are freckling. All of my like one Omo loyal one. Yes. Hey, how are you? Hey, get out. Hey, hey, Kevin. Hey, Diane. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Abby L from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, yes. What? Yes, Juneteenth. We are celebrating. Hey, hey, hey. 11 in Minnesota. All right. LH is in the house. What? Are you arriving? Are you departing? Let me know. What's going on here, Jackie? Actually, afternoon. Okay, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Yes, 9 a.m. Yeah, yeah. I love finding out where you guys are tuning in from. So yeah, I am joining you from my home in Lisbon, Portugal, where it's a bit toasty. Because now I came in, in this room and the light is out. I mean, like sun is shining. Let's see what it's 86 degrees here in Lisbon. Yes, it is 86 degrees. Toasty, toasty. So let me make sure I have this AC remote handy just in case I have to, because next next Friday is my birthday. So, now I'm well in my 50s now with this new birthday coming. So I said, ooh, Perry be showing up. So I got to make sure I have things like the remote handy for the AC. It's so true. It's so true. Hey, wow, you're going to be in Porto. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Yes. And some of our Blaxit Global Passport members are in town. Yes. Some people came in town for, I know our Black Utopia had a meetup. Um, our Rich Journey is hosting their FIRE conference, Financial Independence Retire Early. in Porto. So I think that's probably where the Porto folks are going. And it's a great Shar Winter, who I always credit for me being here. I had that conversation with her on the Blaxit Global podcast season 2, I think it was. And that set me on the path to come to Portugal. She'll be speaking, as well as some other amazing folks, many of whom I know, some that I don't. And yeah, y'all are going to be kicking it. I will be away because I'll be celebrating my birthday in another country. I will be going live next Thursday. I haven't figured out the time because there's a time difference where I'm going. And I will have a guest, but we'll celebrate next Thursday. We'll celebrate my birthday and Blaxit Global turning 5. Yay! So we're celebrating 5 years of Blaxit Global. I'm going to keep saying this all year long. So if you want to kick it with us here in Portugal in October, in the fall, prices are better in the fall, right? Because we're technically off season at that point. So if you want to kick it with us, there is time. We still have tickets available for the Blaxit Global Yacht Party. It is a big yacht because, I'm a go big, go home kind of gal. Same yacht I had for my birthday. I will finally release the birthday video soon. I will release the birthday video finally a year later for my 50th birthday. But yeah, come kick it. It's a great crowd. There are some VIPs, some influencers, some of you that know these people, some of you, this will be your first time interacting. It's a mix, it's a mingle. Expats, aspiring expats. We're going to be sailing, we're going to be drinking. Yes, drinking. We're going to have some wine tasting of Portuguese wines, some light bites, awesome vibes. We're going to be line dancing, boots on the ground, and other dances. So if you haven't been practicing, practice. And we're going to be celebrating Black Joy, which is what we should be celebrating today, as it is Juneteenth, right? I got my freedom shirt on from last year's meetup, our freedom celebration. I have that shirt on. Look. We're enjoying the energy. Yes, and thank you for all the early birthday wishes. Yes, I can't believe it. I'm like, look, it seems like yesterday I just turned 50. Now turning 51. And so last year, it was the first time I celebrated. Yeah, was it? Yeah. Last year was the first time I celebrated my birthday in a new country. This one. And so this year I'm celebrating my birthday in another country. So I'm like, ooh, 2 years in a row. I think it's a theme. And your girl already started planning next year. So I think it is a thing now. I will be celebrating birthdays in other countries. So, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout. Yes, Myra and Marilyn. Oh wow, sorry I missed you. Yeah, I was in the house for quite a bit. I thought I was going to be away, and then I was still getting over the cold and all this other stuff. So 66 in San Miguel. Oh my goodness. What? 12 in New York. Wait, is that a typo? Jersey girl in Philly, Palo Portuguese. Yes, estou. Yes. Okay, yes, come back. Yes. Yes, please. My Portuguese is getting much better every day. Like yesterday, I got gelato. After my massage, I had a Thai massage yesterday. It was a gift from my birthday last year. And I hadn't redeemed it. And I had gotten a lot of massages for my birthday last year as gift. And then I also went to Thailand, right? I spent a month in Asia and I got a lot of Thai massages. So I was like, ooh, I don't want to do it before I leave. And I didn't want to do it too close to when I got back because I needed some distance. And I went yesterday, baby, they just boop, boop, boop your girl. I mean, okay, we got to put the AC on now. They got your girl. I was like, I woke up all kinds of sore in a good way, because those Thai massages, I don't know what happens when you lay on the table and close your eyes. Those Thai women like become the Hulk. I'm like, what? And they're like little ninjas. They jump on the table and pow, pow. I'm like, damn, but in a good way. I had one that wasn't so great in Bangkok, the first one. But I'm gonna see if Rashida ever tells the story. All right, some of y'all follow Rashida now. I'm gonna see if Rashida tells the story, because we were getting. Mm. Or maybe Rashida and I need to tell the story together. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I have to invite her to the channel so we can talk about our foolishness. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, my brother's in the chat. Hey, hey, I know you. We have the same last name and the same parents. Oh, yes, I have to recommit. I have to recommit because I have new information. I can also thank my brother too for part of this too. When he was here recently, and so I realized like I'm more physically active here and eating clean whole foods, drinking, because I do need to post that video. I took a video yesterday. I was going to put it as a short because it's Festa season here, so month-long festivals. Actually, when I was walking Bailey a little while ago, the church, we have a seminary, and they were blasting this music, and I was like, "Ooh, I thought it was coming from the school," and I'm like, "Oh, it's the church!" Boom, 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 boom. I was like, I like a country I could get down, right? Foodies, and those of you who love the vinho, Portugal Bay. So literally at the supermarket, I went in to grab a few things, and the alcohol is like 25 to 70% off. I was like, wait, what? So I just, bought some bottles. Because, why not? Because I bought 2 bottles of wine, 3 things of beer, and then a couple of like groceries, some fruit, and it came up to €20. It's like, what? Oh, okay. 88. Okay, great. Thank you. Tim Hortons. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Diane. Okay, so you have to come on the channel, Diane. Send me a message. Yes. Oh my goodness. So before I lose my train of thought, and then I swear I want to get on topic. So I realized that, now that I'm turning 50, certain things have changed, right? And I knew certain things had changed, but there's a whole physiological thing that happens to your body as you start to age. And I think for Black people in general, because we don't look our chronological age, or maybe we do, it's the other people that age badly. But because of that, it's hard to be like, oh, this is age related. Like maybe my metabolism is slowing down a little bit. So I started taking my supplements, some probiotics, and things are improving. Now I'm getting started stretching again, getting back to lifting, went for the massage, right, which is great for your lymphatic system. And I was talking to Shar, and we're going to do Pilates in the morning. So, getting there, I'm like, okay, now I've got new information, fueling my body differently, giving it some things that might be depleting because of just age and natural, right? Estrogen going by the wayside, all this other stuff. So I'm learning. So I figured I'd share that with you. Yes. Yeah. I did shoot a video with the prices, but I don't know if I should have released this video because I'm like, I don't do. I usually don't do price things, but baby, the prices. I was like, wait, 70% off? Wait, what? Yes, I'm early today. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I won't. My birthday's next Friday, so I figure I'll go live on the 26th, and we'll just have it like a birthday thing, right? We'll celebrate, and then And then obviously the big party, the real party for Blaxit Global will be in October. So October 23rd is the Blaxit Global Yacht Party. On October 24th is Blaxit Global is hosting Exodus Summit. So the Exodus Summit crew is coming through, Stephanie and Rashida. So we are going to be eating some delicious bites. It's a full-on dinner. And like I said, it's going to be influencers, VIPs, travelers, the whole bit. It's going to be great. Yes. Yeah, I should have mentioned about it. It's a different Pilates than the one I had done last year. Last year, I loved Reformer Pilates, but it was not working for my knees, doing the jumps, going into the machine. And wound up having a bunch of imaging done, which was incredibly affordable. And they were like, they didn't tell me not to do that, but it was clear. The knees don't have the cushion. So this is going to be mat Pilates, I think a lot gentler. I think we're going to work on like functional movement because that's what I need. So we'll see. Tomorrow's a free trial. We're going to see how it goes. I'm not going to commit yet, but I'm in a fact-finding mission. I'm also not going to commit because I think this class is at like 7 in the morning, and your girl is, as of late, hasn't been getting up to like 9. So wish me luck. But since I'm coming in early today, it's a good sign. I'm going to go to bed early. Okay, let's get into this list. All right. So there are some, yes, Exodus Summit is sold out, but not the Yacht Party. Yacht Party still has spaces. Exodus Summit is sold out, but we do have a wait list. So if anybody cancels, then you can potentially get a ticket. Okay. All right. I'm excited to have you. Yes, yes. All right. So I've been doing this for 5 years, right? Not on YouTube, but the Blaxit Global podcast. I've been hosting for 5 years, created Blaxit Global 5 years ago this month. So I've helped hundreds of people in different capacity, right? Move abroad, like not just to Portugal, right? We've had Vietnam, Italy, Spain, Mexico, Portugal, of course, to name a few. And we have quite a few who are in the process of moving in our Blaxit Global Passport community. And so I've seen a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of people who I know have all the pieces of the puzzle together. But for whatever reason, they're self-sabotaging. And usually it's money, right? We talk about mindset. And of course, mindset is everything. We talked about mindset last week when we met. But also there are money mistakes that are holding some people back. And so we're going to talk about those money mistakes. I saw a good morning and then my mouth chose a different word. So we're going to go in descending order, right? Yeah. Descending order. I had to think about that for a second. And talk about it, right? So this is interactive. So if I get through the list and you're like, oh my gosh, there was more, add more, right? Right? If you have context. Or if this rings true for you, right? Because there's no shame. If anything I say is triggering, maybe it's a sign that you need to do some extra work. Okay. I'm drinking water, by the way. Okay. Spending for comfort instead of change. Okay. Some people have said that they are going to move abroad, that they want to move abroad, and they do things that are spending money in ways that are contrary to what they're saying. So then you have to wonder, like, A, do you really want it? Like, what's underneath? Is it self-sabotage? Is it the devil you know versus the devil you don't? But some of the things I see, it's like there's opportunity for unpacking things, right? I've talked about shadow work. Sometimes this shows up, and how it shows up is you say, oh, I'm going to move abroad, but you're spending for comfort. Oh, wow. That That bag went on sale. You mean that bag that was made in China for like $2 that you paying 200 or 2,000 for? You mean that bag, right? Like 200 may seem like, oh, it's not a lot, but that's probably what I spend on food for the month here in Portugal. Good food that's like not full of chemicals and preservatives and ultra processed. Or some people gamble. I was watching a video the other day, some series that I had started watching, and it was on. I had my VPN on, so it was US stuff. And oh my gosh, the ads, the gambling ads. It was like the casino, you can do it on your phone and da da da. And then a little thing, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Or food. Some people overeat, right? Like I said, the incessant shopping, the overeating, gambling in some ways. Some of y'all out there, y'all have your thing, right? And it could be something that's good for you. Your thing might be you love to read. And so every time there's a book that interests you, you hear something on the podcast, you buying that book. Maybe you could go to the library and take that book out or get the audiobook, right? But these are the things that seem like seemingly innocent things, behavioral patterns that if you're not aware of what you're doing, you're actually undermining the goal that you're trying to work towards, right? Okay. Treating taxes like an afterthought. Guess what? When you move abroad, Uncle Sam is saying, we're moving abroad. Baby, what? You are not doing this alone. There are 195-ish countries in the world. 195. Might even be 196, but let's just use 195. There are countries other than America. But unlike the other 193 countries, two tax you even when you don't live there anymore. Citizenship-based taxation. I'll give you a hint which one that you might be from. It's not one of the 193. It's definitely one of the two, right? It's the US and Eritrea are the only two. There might be a third because I know at one point there were three and maybe one has changed, but definitely Eritrea, which is a smallish country on the continent of Africa, and the United States, which is a global superpower. So some people think, oh, I'm going to move abroad and Uncle Sam could kiss my behind. Or they conflate moving abroad with renunciation of your citizenship. I get that a lot. I didn't renounce my citizenship. I'm not saying I'm not going to. But no one can be countryless. No one can be countryless. You have to belong to somebody. So until I have another passport from another country, I mean, I'm almost at the halfway mark. But until I have another option, I'm stuck with them. So what does that mean? That means you have to pay taxes if you're a tax resident. If you choose to live in a country more than, and it varies, more than a specific period of time, you become what's called a tax resident. And once you become a tax resident, you have to pay taxes. So some people choose to bop around. They bop around to different countries. They may stay, 2-3 months or however long their passport allows in one country, and then they go to another, and then they stay as long as they can. That strategy, you don't become a tax resident, assuming that you stay under that threshold set by the country, and you only have to pay taxes to the United States. It's simpler. For someone like me, I am a tax resident in Portugal as well as a legal resident. I have legal residency to live here, right? So I pay taxes in the United States and I have to file my taxes there, although you get an automatic extension when you live abroad. Hey. And I have to pay taxes to Portugal, which is due in a couple of days. But that also means that you have to pay two different people because one person is not going to know the entire US tax law, which is insane to begin with. It's overcomplicated on purpose. And then someone needs to know Portugal's tax system and tax laws, which is super simple. It's one sheet. I was like, what? It's like, what'd you make here? What'd you spend? You got any credits? Sign your name. What? I love that for me. But one of the things that gets people tripped up and holds them back is that they make these incorrect assumptions about taxes or overlook them entirely. Or they think, oh, if I move to this country, I'm going to be taxed twice. No, that's because you're not spending your money with the right people. We'll also get to that later, but wanted to talk about that. Ooh, I just looked in the chat went crazy. Let's see. Hey, TJ. Yeah, I know. I did notice that too. You know, it's like, and that's where I say that wisdom and discernment comes into play because we have to get better at recognizing it for what it is, that this person is getting a check, right? They themselves are not gambling, right? But they are trying to incent you, and they're using their celebrity, they're using their clout, they're using their influence to get you to be poorer, right? And they themselves aren't as rich as the people that are paying them to sell to us, right? So, yeah. What? Oh gosh. You know, they have a lottery here and I see the line sometimes. I haven't. I'm not a, you know, I don't gamble. I don't do the lottery. I don't do the lottery thing. It's not my thing. I'm not saying I haven't done either, but it's just not my thing. Yes, I love that. Okay, back to the list. All right. Ignoring an international money strategy. If you intend on being abroad, I would say for any period of time, not just like me, like I'm permanently abroad. But if you're planning to stay 2, 3 months, 6 months out of the year at various places, or just to test it out, because I also recommend that people take a test drive, date countries. And when you are abroad, if you only think in terms of USD, the United States dollar, you are missing a big opportunity. Let me explain. So there are sites like I use Wise, and I had to think about my strategy in terms of, let me just get you a link, in terms of moving abroad, right? Because I had to think, I have my money is in USD. I spend money in euro, which is stronger than the US dollar. As of today, I think it's $1 is the equivalent to 87 cents in euros today. Now, I think yesterday it was like 86. we're making an increase, but I'm hoping that we keep going up because rent's due in a couple days. But what that means is I have rent to pay. I have expenses that are here, and I had to think about, okay, what's the exchange rate? What's the influence of that? Um, the exchange rate changes daily, within hours, things like that. You have to understand where the country that has the money or the money that you're making, because some people are working abroad, and where are they spending their money. And then you have to think of, like, when I go to the UK, I've gone to the UK a couple times. I also have a bucket where I can, and I have a Wise account, and I'll just drop the link there, where I can put USD into the pound sterling, right? So it allows me to have a level of flexibility with respect to how I spend, when I spend, being strategic, looking at different sources. But also when I think about like the long term, right now I'm turning 51. Like I said, a lot of my money is in USD, not all of it, but a lot of it. What are the things that can then start to, over time, if my intent is to stay gone permanently, to move money into euro or another currency? So what are the vehicles that are available to me as a resident of the European Union, which once you become a resident of one state, country, you actually have ability to travel visa-free to all of the EU nations, of which I think there are 27, maybe 29 now. So when I came, I think it was 27. So what does that mean, right? So when you think about your long-term strategy, it could be purchasing a home in whatever country, or homes in whatever country that you're in. It could be upon gaining citizenship or whatever that requirement is in that country, opening the door to other investments that aren't available to you as an American. The other thing to consider is banks. I have a bank account in Portugal. Like I said, I have other accounts as well. But the thing to keep in mind is, as an American, because the United States is still considered a global superpower, it puts in undue burden on other countries in terms of reporting what's in your bank account every year. So every year I have to remember to fill out an FBAR, which is a disclosure of what's in my account. Like I said, you may leave the United States, but the United States ain't gonna leave you, which is why you need a second passport. So keeping that in mind, I have to remember that at the time when I moved to Portugal, so we're coming up on 2 years, there were more banks that were accepting Americans to open bank accounts. And just in the time that I've been here, 2 of them are no longer accepting Americans to open bank accounts. Other nationalities, yes. Americans, no. Why? Because of all of the reporting requirements that they have to do in order to comply. Because if the countries don't comply, America puts a fine. If you don't disclose, the fine is $10,000. So do the stupid form. It takes like 10 minutes, you're good, right? So these are the things that you have to think about, right? So if you want to think strategically, I'm already projecting 5-10 years out what my money movements might be, especially anticipating citizenship, European citizenship. What does that mean? And we talked about it a little bit in the episode that I had with Michael Ashanti, who renounced his citizenship in 2023. And he left the United States. I think Michael's now been out of the United States 17 or 18 years. and then obtained citizenship in the United Kingdom pre-Brexit, and is now living in Spain with his husband, and now working potentially on obtaining Spain citizenship because of Brexit kind of complicates certain things. But nevertheless, one of the reasons why was because he was out of the US so long, filing the taxes, which we talked about, and then again, certain investment vehicles aren't available to you as an American until you become a European citizen. And remember, it's a stronger currency, so it's more advantageous. But all that is to say, some people think about the logistics of physically moving themselves from one place to another without thinking about all the systems that you interact with that can impact your life. Okay, that was long. Hey, how you doing? You bad? Okay, another one. Relying on one stream of income. If your only source of income is your job, you are at risk. And I've done numerous videos on the channel. We've had Dr. Kimani talk about burnout. I've talked about it. We've had other people share their journeys and stories. How to generate additional income, how to generate borderless income. So I know during the pandemic, a lot of people, like pretty much, I'm not gonna say everybody because there weren't some people who were, but a lot of people were able to work remotely, right? There's been the return to work. Those jobs are fewer and far between, but they are still out there. There are still remote first companies. You know, some of you have followed Libria Jones, the remote work queen. She's been at it for over a decade talking about remote jobs. So if you're interested, plug into her, follow her. But you can do other things to create another stream of income. That can be, a side hustle. And I've done just about everything. I have done secret shopping. I remember I did secret shopping at different, well, these were like back in the day, record stores, and car dealerships, take cars for a test drive. Some people have done like all different things, DoorDash, Uber, Etsy stores, eBay stores, flipping different things. But if your income is solely tied to your job, if that job goes away, or if you decide you no longer want to devote your time and energy to that job, because it can be either or your body might decide it's time to stop, then you're at risk. The benefit of creating another stream of income, it can help you kind of get over the financial hump, because most countries want you to prove that you have enough money to support yourself in that country. That could be the difference. It also comes in handy because unlike the United States, which is you work at the pleasure of your employer, some countries, a lot of countries, you work under an employment contract. And so they expect you to have permission from your employer to allow you to work in the country that you choose to live in. You might not have that, but if you have enough money coming in from your side hustle, guess what? It makes that not be an issue, right? And that could be the thing that helps you gain momentum. That could be the extra money that you can put away towards your move abroad, for investments, again, to help you bridge from leaving the job to gaining freedom, which is what this is all about. So, highly recommend you diversify. All right. This is a big one. Thinking that debt automatically disqualifies you. Some people, it's not uncommon in the United States, are carrying their own student loan debt, funding a child's student loans, right? Or course of study, or paying back, doing a parent loan, and then trying to plan and put away for their retirement. And if you're in the sandwich generation, caring for an aging parent. I mean, there's a lot of debt, right? There's a lot of real life happening. You can't overlook that. And so sometimes people think, oh, well, I've got all this debt, right? They're not going to let me in because my credit score is bad. Baby, credit score is a United States thing. A credit score was created to keep us from gaining access to credit, to banking, to doing all those things, right? Opportunities like getting a house. They tied credit to being able to get certain jobs, right? All of these things were created to continue to disadvantage Black people, Black and brown people. That's why they call it systemic racism. And so the eye-opening is that nobody cares about my credit score in the United States. I got something the other day, actually it was today, and it was like, your credit score has changed, because I forgot that I had charged something, and I was like, oh yeah, and then I don't even know what country I was in at that point, because I went to like 3, and I was like, oh yeah, I did forget. So I paid the fee, and I was like, oh okay. So I'm sure it like went down like one thing. Like, I don't care about my credit score. I don't. I care not. I pay my bill in full every month. So I'm like, I don't care about that. But if you have debt, depending on the type of debt, it's not going to be an issue. And like I said, some people have medical debt. There are ways to work through that. Mortgage debt, student loan debt, things like that. I don't say abandon your debt entirely, because like sometimes people think, oh, I could just get on a plane. Catch me if you can. That worked for Leonardo DiCaprio. That didn't go work for you. And the reason why I say don't do that entirely is because you may need to come back to the United States for something, right? Some people have been dealing with sick relatives. Other things might pull you back, another emergency. You may get tired. You may just want to come back for a bit of time. Pick up your life, pick up your life for a little bit, go back out in these streets. It's okay, no shame. And so if you need to, or think you might need to pick back up your life, I don't say decimate your credit, but don't let that be a hindrance to your move. All right. I haven't been looking at the comments, so let me look over there for a bit. Yes, you need a bank account in Portugal. Mm-hmm. Yes, you do have to get a real bank account. Oh yeah, there's some questions. Okay, let me star some of these questions. Thank you for putting the Q in front. I appreciate that. It just helps me see it a little easier. Hey, Uncle Bliss Dance, how you doing? Okay, got it. I think that was the only. Yeah. The euro is stronger, but it goes back to not to digress too much, but when I was preparing for my move, so it was a couple of months. It was a couple of months before my move. I'm pretty sure it was a couple of months, and at one point, the euro and the dollar were par. So $1 was the equivalent of €1 because the euro had fallen. Man. And I was working at the time, and I had my Wise account. And I was like, should I put a couple thousand over there just to, I could kick myself. I'm like, I could have put a big chunk of money over. Right? So that's what I mean. I say these things also from my own experience, right? Think bigger. Think bigger. Think bigger. You guys can do it. Okay. Let me okay. Let me go back to the list. Okay. Number 5. Okay, we halfway through. Avoiding the numbers out of shame and fear. This is a no shame space, right? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay? So some of you have not done the numbers. You think, oh, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. Some of you don't know how much you spend in a year. So if you don't know how much you spend in a year in the United States, how are you going to know how to plan for your life in another country? Right? Sometimes people say, oh, well, I make like $60,000 or I make $100,000. Okay. But if you make 60 or whatever number that is, but you're actually spending 90,000 or more, but you don't consider the debt. So one thing I used to do was when I was working is I knew how much I made, and I would calculate at the end of the year, especially at the end of the year, I always do like a financial, like, okay, how am I hitting towards my goals? What did the year look like? What did I get from investments and stuff like that? And so I look at, okay, what are my big categories? How much did I spend on food? How much did I spend on rent? My car, fuel, all those things, trips, getting my hair done, whatever the case is, right? All those categories, big categories. And then I look and I see and I kind of compare mentally to what I was spending the year before. It was usually not much variance because I was pretty good about that stuff because I knew I wanted to move abroad, right? And that helped me identify where I could trim. But if overspending, going back to the original beginning of this list, if overspending is your thing and you're not thinking, you're like, oh, it's only $5 for that cup of coffee I bought, right? Oh, it's, I just get fast food on the way. Oh, I just spend like $20 a week on Lotto. It's only $150 a week on hair or haircut. The cumulative is those are the cuts, right? That's death by a million cuts. One of the things I did was I had these cars, and how I make decisions in buying cars are completely different than most people, right? But it's because I consume a lot of material about wealth building. And the car I had was just dying out because I'll ride it till the wheels fall off, right? And I had to think, and I wanted a different car. I wanted to kind of upgrade a little class, but I'm like, how can I do this and be, within my values and stay true? So I was like, okay, certified pre-owned, that's going to be smart, right? Because let somebody else pay for the depreciation. Okay, great. Then I had to think about it. What's the driving hour? There's 24 hours in a day. 8 hours I'm sleeping. 8 hours I'm working, right? So I'm like, okay, then that just leaves another little pot. And so I was like, oh, well, how long was my commute? To work, from work, picking up kids, doing errands, and I tallied how much I drove in a week. Let's say that number was, I don't know, 15 hours. Multiply that by 4 weeks in a month, and then divide that into the car payment. And then I had to figure out, I was like, oh, so what's the cost of driving this vehicle? And more to the point, the cost of that vehicle being parked. Is it worth it for me to spend $700 a month, $500 a month when that vehicle is going to be outside looking cute to somebody else while I'm inside like a whatever under, because that's how they treat us, like lab rats, under fluorescent lights with no windows, but the car is outside looking cute. So why am I toiling for this car that, oh, if I pull up to the light, somebody see me, they're not looking at me, they're looking at the car. They don't know me from boo, and I don't know them, nor do I care. No. So that always helped me kind of make a decision based on numbers and not emotions. Emotions, especially when you're in a toxic environment, and if you're living in the United States, it's a toxic environment, right? It hurts your ability, it hampers your ability to think clearly because you're thinking a lot of times on emotions, trauma responses. We talked about it last week, feeling like, your nerves are raw. That doesn't always allow you to think clearly. So that's why, knowing the numbers is so important. And then knowing the numbers of the countries that you're interested in moving to. There are enough of us on the internet that share our numbers. There's communities like Blaxit Global Passport. There are resources like the Earth Awaits, Numbeo, that allow you to get really granular and help you come up with a realistic budget for yourself. So you can be grounded in reality and not just hypotheticals. Okay, coming down the final stretch. Not knowing the true cost of your dream. So we talked about knowing your monthly budget, but what is enough? Enough is a word that is missing in the American vocabulary. There's no such thing as enough. It's like, let me get this, whatever, go to McDonald's, right? Oh, I want to supersize me. I remember when I was leaving, actually, and I'm going to go back in a few months. Every time I turn around, it was in my old town in New Jersey. Every time I turn around and I would see like a construction crane, and I'm like, ooh, what are they building? It was another storage facility. And I was like, what? There were so many, like, I don't know, U-Haul storage or whatever, all the other names. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I would have conversations with people, and people who I thought were, together. And then they're telling me, oh, I spent like $500 a month for this storage and big old house. But why why are you spending so much in storage? Right? And it's like, huh? So sometimes we don't realize, or we think that the expense that we pay for our lives in the United States are going to be equal or greater in another country. I spend $1,300 a year on health insurance. That's it. That's it. When I was in the States in my good job, I spent considerably more than that. I had a classmate, and I saw on the Facebook the other day. She has a government job in DC, so good job, right? And good insurance, and had to get an MRI, and the copay was $240. What? What? Crazy. So when you don't know your numbers, you're making decisions that are rooted in fear. You're coming up and conflating and saying, oh, there has to be this grandiose number that I need to have to live the life that I want to live. I live a very big life on 50 to 60% less than what I spent in the United States. I can tell you, I was not on no yachts, no boats, living in countries for a month when I was making multiple six figures. Absolutely not. No, no, ma'am. No, sir. And so when you don't know the numbers, you'll say, oh, I need to have, $100,000, $200,000 to move. I don't know what the number is for you, right? You'll know, I hope, the number that's for you, but stop moving the goalpost. Sometimes we're so used to, because we don't know what enough is, that fear kicks in. You might get to $50,000. You might have done the work. You might have done the math and come up with 50 or 100, whatever that is. And then you're like, oh, that's not enough. But what if that's not enough? So remember, whatever number you're getting to, ideally, you're not pulling it all out at the same time, right? You're going to have time for some of that money to work for you. And you have to think strategically about how to make that money work hard or harder, or how to fill the gap. But if you don't confront the numbers, you don't look at it, get pen and paper and pull up your bank statement, look at your credit card statements, start to really be the CEO of your life, by which you are. It'll always stay in your head, and you got enough things in your head right now, right? Do yourself a favor, get to know the numbers. Okay. All right, that's number 3. Focusing on ownership instead of mobility. Ooh, I think it's gonna be snatching some wigs in a minute. Before I get into that one, let me go to the chat. Hold on. Okay. Yes, I did see that. Isn't that wild? I did see that. I saw that on Instagram and I was like, is this real? Because you know what, AI. Well, I go back to wisdom and discernment. I could not believe that. It is wild. Yeah. But I'm not talking about people actually living. I mean, I know that that's a thing now, as well as like the 7-year car payment, which is wild to me. Cars go down in value. Put your money, and this is not financial advice, put your money in things that work for you. A car is a depreciating asset. It's not even an asset. It's not an asset. Okay, let me go back to where was I? Number three. Way to go. There it is. Focusing on ownership instead of mobility. Some people are buying houses and furniture and all kinds of things that are opposite of a move, right? Like I can get you moving if you have a dire situation going on and you need to move. Totally understand. Some things happen, right? Sometimes you have to go and pay more. I moved out of my apartment. My lease ended in July of 2023. And a month to month was going to be ridiculous. It was going to be like, I think 2.5 times the rental price. It was something insane. And that didn't make sense. And I did not want to leave over the summer because my daughter was going to college in the fall. And I was like, oh, I want to do all the dorm shopping and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, I had found this apartment in Portugal in April. So I was paying rent in an apartment that was empty for 4 months. Okay, so I had a life here that was on pause. I had seen it. I gave them the money. And then a couple days later, I was on a plane. And I did not come back to my apartment until September, right? I saw it in April, came in September. I had to be okay with spending thousands of dollars a month on an apartment I was not occupying. But it was worth it to me because I know I needed to move. I know I wanted to move. Now, if you're moving to Portugal, this may apply to you. I'm not going to say it's going to be as long. I had my own reasons why I needed to wait. But in order to qualify for your visa, you need to have accommodation. So more than likely, you will be paying for, at some point, an apartment or some type of accommodations that you're no longer occupying. But sometimes we conflate ownership with mobility. We conflate ownership as wealth. But you have to ask yourself, who put that in your mind? There was a video that went around last year, and I can't remember the guy. He was I don't know what he is, but personality, let's call him that. And he was breaking it down, and he said a mortgage, the American dream, was a way for banks to sell mortgages. Now, I'm going to be 51. And so I remember when you used to open up a bank account and they would give you like a toaster. Sometimes the banks be outside trying to get you to open an account. Those people were not making money. Those people were not like the people that you see on Wall Street. Now you say banker, you're like, ooh, they got money. Back in the day, But once they started introducing these instruments, and he said banks needed to sell mortgages. And if America is good at anything else, it is good at marketing. And they said, how do we sell mortgages? People are buying mortgages, right? And they said, the American dream. The American dream is to own a home. Mortgages, and then to sell to other banks, right? Because other banks buy packages of mortgages. Mortgages are a safe investment. Okay. So they started promoting the American dream, the picket white fence, all this stuff. Then you also had white flight out of certain communities into, suburbia. And so, and then they kept it unattainable through redlining, through transportation, right? Because here I take public transportation all the time. Ain't no shame in my game. In the United States, you are car dependent. And suburbs were created in the way and designed the way they were so that they weren't accessible by public means because they did not want those people in their communities. So they wanted you to have a car so they could afford to buy cars. And then they can drive past the people who were on public transportation, which again was part of that psychological effery that perpetuated this desire to attain the American dream. So I'm not poo-pooing owning a home, but owning a home in and of itself is not an asset. Because, and I've owned several in my lifetime, several. Roofs go, windows need to be replaced, lawns need to be mowed, driveways need to be shoveled, toilets need to be replaced, leaks happen, right? Infestations happen, noisy neighbors that you might not like, racist neighbors. Some people have worked hard to get in certain areas and communities only to be still chased out in a different way by clear folk. So after owning several homes, I realized, I was like, ooh, when you own a asset, right? You own it outright, there's no mortgage. Okay, that's an asset. But people say, oh, but you build equity. Well, how do you get the equity out of the home? Well, one, you would have to sell it and hope that there's equity, or they came up with home equity loans and reverse mortgages. And they would have people that were from nostalgia that you remember when you were growing up as a kid selling you this instrument. These are financial instruments. A home is an asset for you if it makes money. So if you are living in a multifamily home, if you have an Airbnb that's profitable, if you have something like that where you live in one unit, the duplex, you live in one unit You have income from the rest, or the whole unit, you have a multifamily. Okay, then you have an asset. Some people are holding on and they're like, oh, but I'll manage it from abroad. I know quite a few people who did not sell a home before they left, and now you have to be a long distance landlord and get calls when you should be asleep to wake up to deal with situations, or carrying costs when someone who doesn't pay the rent, or squatters who you now have to pay a lawyer and legal fees to get out. Or my favorite, I'm leaving it for my kids. Again, how did we get here? Because you were sold a dream. So is it something that you actually want? Or where did this come from? Is this something that was seeded in your consciousness? Sometimes we do things that we don't even really want. And we're like, well, how did I get here? That's the worst. It's like, how did I get here? So think about mobility. Ditch the house. Look, I think I'm gonna be a forever renter. Cause I'm like, look, I don't know where I'm gonna live forever, but I like the freedom of movement. I like being able to say, maybe I wanna, live in Germany for 3 months. Maybe I wanna pop over to Kenya for 6 months. I don't wanna have to worry about those things. Something break up in here, that's somebody else's problem. That ain't my problem. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Markets go down. Let's remember 2008, 2009. I was caught up in that shit. Was not cute. There are people that have houses that are in certain markets that are not desirable anymore. People thought back in the day, oh, I'm going to be a snowbird, or I'm going to get a home in Florida or something like that. Climate change is real. Now you're in a hurricane zone. Now insurance is ridiculously expensive to have a home, or some insurers are leaving markets entirely. And there's a thing called insurer of last resort, which becomes the state. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to say that certain people that are occupying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue won't start to defund FEMA, which they already been talking about, or choose, if there's a natural disaster, not to allocate appropriate funds to certain states. But there's a lot of things that are subject to chance. I don't think that, me personally, me party one, I don't think that's the end all be all. I think if you really want to go, take that equity, sell that sucker, go get you a life somewhere. Ooh, the chat done blew up. I kind of figured that was going to happen. Yes, absolutely. I had to go back to the US last year to deal with that foolishness. That very reason. That's why I wound up going back. Yeah, they'll designate you're in the flood zone and you're nowhere near. Hey, Jess. TJ said, looking forward to selling our house, downsizing, and renting abroad. Even while using Airbnb to rent some of the rooms, this asset is a lot to maintain. Absolutely, it is. And I've thought about owning something. I mean, and not in Portugal. That's the story for another day. But, I have access to the entire EU. I've thought about it. But then I thought again. I was like, do I really want, they have those, I've talked about it, €1 homes in Italy. I'm like, do I really want that? Or am I holding on to something? Why? What's my motivation? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, where did that come from? Diane said, former homeowner of multiple homes is just not worth it. Yes, I'm telling you, I've been there. Multiple homes, multiple cars, all that stupid, you know? Mm-mm. Michelle, reverse mortgages, subprime mortgages. That's right. Forgot about those suckers. ARMs. They come up with some of everything. Yeah. To tacked onto the American dream. The American dream has become the American nightmare because it is an illiquid asset. Some people say, oh, I've got $500,000 equity in my house. Okay. But can you buy $10 eggs with that equity? No. But when I need to do something, I could take money out of my bank account or my investment account and I can do that. I could sell a stock. I could use what I have in cash. I can do other things. A house is not an asset unless if you're living in it, it's not an asset. Now, sometimes people will buy and say, oh, I'm going to buy a house, whatever, 700,000, whatever the number is now. It's crazy, right? And that's okay. I'm not saying you can't choose, right? Everybody's entitled to choose what they need for themselves. But I think some people are doing things in order to keep up with the Joneses or to hold on to something that they're not really, they never really wanted in the first place. TJ said, looking forward to selling my home and downsize. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And think about it. If these financial instruments and products were introduced in the last 50 years, and if you're like me and you're 50 and slightly older, what happened in that time frame? Civil rights movement. Everything in the United States is optimization from slavery. And so it's like, well, how do we move from physical chains to financial chains? Keep your insurance tied to your employment, keep you attaining the American dream with cars and houses, clothes, right? Striving, nothing's ever enough. Oh, put that stuff in storage because you never know. Da 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 da. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, free yourself, liberate yourself from it, from bondage. That's right. Dream a new dream. Hey, KG's and San Miguel. Hey, say hi to my friend Michelle over there. Yes, absolutely. Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Oof. Okay, 3. Okay. Number 2. Ooh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Trying to beat it back. Trying to escape a life you're still paying for. That car loan, that car note might be keeping your ass in the United States. They introduced 7-year car notes. I remember when car notes were 3 years, and then they introduced 5. The 7-year note was introduced during COVID. And I was like, 7 years? Like a car loses its value the second you drive it off the lot. That's why I love certified pre-owned. I was like, no, let somebody else deal with that, right? No. Car loans. That lease. Some of y'all may not have a car loan. You may have a lease. Mm-mm. That lease, mm-mm. Lease is a fleece. When I think I talked about it last week, when my Audi, which I was planning, my original plan was to drive that Audi till it was time to move to Portugal, sell it, and I had already kind of projected how much I would be able to get for it. And I was going to use that, and that was going to be some cushion. Life had a different plan. That car started wonking out on me, and it was during COVID. And so every time I was taking it to the dealer, 1,000, 1,500 for a repair, I was like, no, we're done. I was like, and we're done. So then I'm like, shit. I still had 2 years to go at that point. So I was not happy because I'm allergic to car payments. Because my thing was every time I would get, and that's just how I do things. Like I gamify things. If I have debt, I mean, I don't have debt anymore, but at the time when I had debt, I was like, ooh, how can I pay this off fast? So I would do some of everything. Like I said, secret shop, Etsy store, you name it, sell books, whatever, right? Some of y'all have wonderful, beautiful voices. You could be doing voiceover work. I mean, that's a story for another day. Well, okay. But get it back on track, right? And so I was like, oh, how do I pay this off? Then I was like, oh, let me get a lease. So I found Kia had a 2-year lease because it was only maybe 2 manufacturers that at the time that had cars that I was willing to pay that still offered a 24-month lease. Most of them was 3 or greater. And I was like, 3 years, I'm already going to be going. I need a 2 bad boy. So it was a Kia. I let my daughter pick out the car. Of course, I did my research, but I let her pick it out once I was clear on which one. And they were like, oh, kept trying to talk me into, oh, you sure you want to do a 3? Oh, but when you turn it in, I'm like, when I turn it in, because remember, they want you to turn it in and use that for another car, or, we're going to give you some incentives or whatever. I was like, no. So they took the Audi. I said, and I went in there very clear on what I was willing to pay. I did not want a car payment over $200 a month. And we came in under. I was very clear because I was like, oh, I have nothing to lose. If I have to keep putting money in this sucker, I will. But I don't want to. But if you can't get me to the number I need to get to, I'm out of here. Now, to them, taking an Audi was very attractive to them, right? Sell parts, fix it, whatever, who gives a shit. I was like, look, I got a plan. I need to be able to turn this sucker in. And I was very clear too when it was time to go. And I knew the terms of my agreement. I read that it was a disposition fee and da-da-da-da-da. I called him up. I was like, look, I need you to waive this disposition fee. I'm leaving the country. I'm going to drive this car to you. I moved my daughter onto campus in Massachusetts. I drove back to New Jersey. I gave them the car. I had my friend pull up, put my stuff in the car. I was like, you sure I ain't over yet? No. Okay. Got in his car, went to his house, stayed there, whatever, 1 or 2 nights. He drove me to the airport, and then I came to Portugal. I was like, Just remember, I had already thought about the driving hour. I had thought about all of those things, and then came up with how much am I willing to pay, right? Because at that point, a lease that was under $200 for 2 years was cheaper than what I was putting into the car, right? That was already giving me a hard time. I was already pissed that I was like trying to, And so, like I said, life happens. Sometimes the closer you get to goal, the more life will show up. But you have to recognize it for what it is. You have to have a level of self-awareness. And then sometimes when those things will happen, I'll be like, plot twist. It's a test. Okay, right? Because then it shifts your energy. But sometimes you have to realize that You are trying to escape a life and you're still paying for it. Some of y'all have mail you haven't opened, medical debt, student loans that have been in perpetual deferment, lease on lease on lease, storage, stuff in storage that is past its shelf life. You don't know what's in it, right? You say you want to go, but you keep creating financial entanglements that make it harder for you. Co-signing for other people. Oh, it's not that bad. Mm-mm. Ooh, the chat done lit up again. I think I done struck a nerve. I done struck a nerve. Did I strike a nerve? Let me see. Let me scroll. Oh, and then I gotta get to number one. Okay. Should I do a drum roll? I don't even know. Let me see. Oh my gosh. Okay. The plot twist tests how much you really want this new life. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, get out of denial. Hmm. Yeah. And then, there's also things, and I don't disagree. I agree completely. And there's just certain things like, for my life and my lifestyle, I was like, I didn't have the time and energy to put that in. And then realistically, knew there were certain, sometimes they take advantage of you because you're female. Sometimes they take advantage of you because you're black. Sometimes they take advantage because you're a black female. Like so many variables. And so, yeah, but you're absolutely right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other one. Ah, thank you for that. Those damn phones. When I moved here and I bought this phone, and I bought the phone and the case, because when they come out with the new phone, they only have a limited case, and this wasn't the kind of case I wanted. But I was like, right, gotta have the phone protected. Put the screen protector on it. And I was hanging laundry last year, and I shouldn't have put my phone on the thing because then it lost the balance and it cracked. So that I don't think the actual screen cracked. It was the protector. So now I walk around with this jacked up thing. But that's how they get you, right? These phones that, every couple of days, software update, bug fix, blah, blah, blah. They make these things so they don't last as long as they used to. And if you're younger than 30, 20 or 30, you don't have a basis of comparison. But if you are over 50, you remember that things were built to last. Refrigerators, right? They had Westinghouse and all this other stuff. But they realized that if they built vacuums, right, that would last forever, they figured if they built it to last, then that takes you out of the buying cycle. And they want to keep you spending. When you look at a pie chart, especially if you spend any time, not just on CNBC, but Investopedia, any of those sites, and do your research, economists and things like that, and look at what comprises the United States economy, a lot of it is consumer spending. If you listen to any of the reports from the Feds, it's a monthly thing. The Feds talk about rates, which happened yesterday, right? Rates, they do, FOMC meetings. Like, build your financial acumen. It's going to help you. But one of the things that you have to understand is consumer spending is a huge part of the US economy. When consumers stop spending, that's a signal that there's a problem in the economy. The economic health is not the same. So your employer gives you money, you spend that money, keeps on going. It's not a true indicator of the economy's health because the United States has so much access to credit that even with $10 eggs and 7-year car payments and, 6-figure student loans and, $500,000 starter homes, $80,000 cars, that people are still buying because they have access to credit. It gives them the ability to just make payments. And I remember when I started to do the mental work on my wealth building journey years ago, and a couple books that have been pivotal in my life. It's like, wealth, they think of what it costs. In the absence of wealth, you think about the payment. Small number versus big number. If you're thinking small, you're like, oh, what's the payment? If you're thinking big, well, I don't want to pay interest, right? I don't want to do all those other things. It's just like when I moved to Portugal. What part of what made it attractive too was that I had a special tax treatment because I was thinking big picture of all the things that occurred in my life, not just small. What's the total cost of this desire, right? So things with these phones, they get you into, oh, make a payment on the phone. For years, I've bought my phones outright because I didn't want to get in the trap. Oh, whatever. 3 months, 4 months into your phone, oh, they done introduced a new model. Better camera. Snap that picture, right? Like, it's a phone. A phone is not a new technology. And most people don't even talk on the phone anymore. They message. So why are we paying that much money for that? Now they got $2,000 phones. No thanks. No thanks. Okay, number one. I mean, I think it speaks for itself. Treating freedom like a fantasy and not a financial goal. You have to think of your freedom first. You have to treat it like true freedom away from the place that you don't want to live anymore. Like, yes, physically I live in the United States, but I'm still tied to the United States. I spend in euro. I pay my credit card in USD. I have to file taxes in the United States. I have a physical address there, as I do here, right? Even though I'm spending my money here, I also know in the back of my mind that the money that I paid to the credit card or anything else is going to fund warmongering in other parts of the world. But at some point, I'm going to have another passport. And when that happens, I have an opportunity to make a different choice. Now, I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying I won't. But what I'm saying is I have options. And I did not just make the choice based solely on, oh, I want, 300 days of sunshine, which I do have, right? Palm trees outside the window, affordable life, affordable healthcare, all things are true. Good people, safe country, 6th or 7th safest in the world. US is like 132, just in case y'all are wondering. Think about it. So what is your Blaxit budget? There are tools. I'm thinking of Ally Bank, as an example, has these buckets that you can assign a name for buckets, right? Your savings, spending, some people did that for the Beyonce tickets. That's another thing, right? Right? America is good at separating you from your money. Create a Blaxit fund. Get granular. Maybe one bucket is for, visas, passports, attorneys, whatever the case is, right? Tax professionals, which you should be having tax conversations before you finalize where you're going to move. Then another one is for housing, transportation, Maybe you need to have it that granular, or maybe you need a big bucket. Depends on how you process information. But seeing it is going to help you get to goal. Being in community is going to help you get to your goal that much faster. Being in community is going to help you either mitigate or avoid entirely some of these mistakes that we talked about. But if you don't have a strategy, it stays a dream. And that's when I see people who have said that they were leaving in 2020 and it's 2025 and they said they were leaving in 2023 and they're still in the United States, or in 2022 or in 2024. I've seen a lot over 5 years. So we're going to run down the list again, and then I'm going to take the questions. Okay, so starting number 1 from 10 down. Spending for comfort instead of change. Treating taxes like an afterthought. Spend money. Talk to a tax professional who specializes in people who live abroad in both countries. The country that you're living in, the country that you want to go to. Have an international money strategy. Please don't ignore it. Stop relying on one stream of income. Stop thinking that debt is automatically disqualifying you in your credit from going abroad. Look at the numbers, do the math. Know the cost of your dream, right? Moving, companies, how you're going to get your stuff, how you're going to get your pets there. Don't focus solely on ownership. Some of y'all want to move to another country and buy a house. You haven't even seen whether or not you really like where you are going. Europe, I'm just using Europe as an example because I live in Europe, but Europe is old. Air conditioning is a new thing. Old be mold. Ain't gonna get me buying nothing. Trying to escape a life you're still paying for. Think about it. Where are the leaky buckets? Where's the leaky holes in the bucket? And treating freedom like a fantasy. You got this. All right, now I'm going back to the comments and to answer your questions, of which there are quite a few. All right. Where are you? Yes. Let me tell you. Thank you, Harlem Minded. Yes, hit the thumbs up, please. Lemon laws need to hire a lawyer. Yeah. Yeah. Or even, subscriptions. When I'm talking about subscriptions, some of y'all, it just a scam. I remember when people were cutting the cord and saying, oh, I'm no longer going to pay for cable because I'm paying for all these channels that I don't ever watch. And I'm doing Redbox or Netflix, and it's cheaper. I just pay $6 a month or $7 a month, and that's it. I can get these movies. I can get blah, 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 blah. And then everybody and their mama came up with a streaming service. And MGM has one, and Apple has one, and Paramount has one, and HBO has streaming. And they all started to pull their different mediums, their movies, the TV shows, all that stuff off of the one. And then they came up. So now you're paying $15 to Netflix, $12 to Amazon, this one to Hulu. And it's now, and you still got your cable, because remember, it was a bundle. And so you're paying more than you did when it was just cable. Woo-hoo. We've got a new channel member, Ikami. Hey, hey. Yeah, yeah. That's how they do. They separate you from your money. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people watch YouTube, which is free. I mean, I know they have a premium, but right? You can be a channel member like you got me. Oh, that's right. I want to say before I forget. What's today? Today is the 19th, Juneteenth. I meant date. Day of the week. It's Thursday. So Saturday, we are going to have Start Abroad. We have a workshop in Blaxit Global Passport. We're going to be talking about moving to Panama and moving to Portugal. There have been updates related to Portugal, and some of you are interested in the Pensionado program in Panama. We're going to do a deep dive with our friends at Start Abroad. It's happening inside Blaxit Global Passport. It's exclusively for our Passport members, and this time we're going to extend that to our YouTube channel members. So if you are a YouTube channel member or if you are a Passport member, you will have access to that. Thank you for reminding me, because I was like, Lord, I gotta drop the link for y'all. Okay. Karen Louise. Yes, that's right. Till the wheels fall off. Yeah. Because think about it. Some of the people that have the greatest, because there's new money and there's old money, right? And it's not necessarily, it's more of a mindset thing. Great book, great money mindset books that have changed my life. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's definitely up there. And so, what was I going to say? Yes, you have to think about like old money versus new money. And the money habits are very different. Warren Buffett, right? The Oracle of Omaha, is still in the same daggone house. What, he's in his 90s? I think he's almost 99 or something like that. He's been in the same house for probably my entire existence on this earth. He has enough money to own every house. Like they said that the 1% of the 1% can own, they now have enough money to own and buy every home in the United States. That's how much money they have now. What's going on is an extraction of wealth, right? From the poor, working class to the wealthy, right? But my point here is he didn't upgrade his lifestyle. He could have, but he didn't. I've been in the homes, I've been blessed. I've been in the homes of a couple billionaires. Some have had old money mindset. Some have had new money mindset. Old money, my money's always on old money. Old money. Absolutely. Yeah. Because they know cars go down in value. They put their money in appreciating assets, and they put their money in asset classes that either don't get taxed or don't get taxed at a certain rate. And there are countries that you can move to that will not tax you. You have to understand. Some people decide to move to a country and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know they were going to tax my Social Security. I didn't know they were going to tax my pension. I didn't know they were going to tax insert whatever. That's why I say you got to do your due diligence, but know how the game is played. Worth every kilometer traveled. I have been working with my Move Abroad coach. Yay! Yes, get a coach. That's what I'm saying. Get a coach. Come in a Passport, get a coach. I could be your coach. Sign up for coaching. Shameless plug. Also, if you are somebody who is not quite ready for, you know, being, what's the word I'm looking for? Being in community. I mean, I think you should be in community. So I'm going to drop the link to Blaxit Global Passport. Join us in our community. We're nice, we're friendly, we have fun. But yeah, do the thing. We also have a Move Abroad course if you want to DIY it without anybody. Okay, let me answer these questions. Okay. Yoga Bliss Dance. They're going to garnish Social Security for student loans. Yes, I saw. They said if you are in arrears, only if you're in arrears, they're garnishing. I think that was what I saw last. And they're only going to leave people at like 15%. Do you prefer to get paid in euros now while it's stronger than the US dollar? Yes. Yeah. But then there's also conversion. So yes. Mm-hmm. Some people advise to take out as much money when your expenses when exchange is in your favor. Yes, absolutely. When the numbers are working for you, move the money. And look, I'm very transparent when I make like boo-boos. It was a couple of months ago, and it was after the election, and so the U.S. dollar had gotten a bump because of the Orange Man, and so it was at 96, and I think it was trending toward 97. So one U.S. dollar was the equivalent of 97 cents in euros, right? So it's like, oh yeah, baby. And in my mind, right? Because as human beings, we have certain biases. So my bias was, couple more weeks, we gonna be dollar for dollar, baby. I'm gonna move the boat, right? I did say it's at 87, right? Once he started talking tariffs and all that other crazy shit that be coming out of these people's mouths, nope. So that's what I'm saying. You also have to just have a level of self-awareness. And it's also, no, you're not going to think of every little thing. But I share these things so that you can learn. Ya's little flock. When you left your U.S. home, did you sell all the big stuff or only take suitcases? I came with the dog in 3 suitcases. And then I shipped a tote. I think it was 2 totes. No, 1 big tote and then 2 duffel bags because I had my podcasting equipment and stuff like that. So that went on a ship. That was like $300. And then I didn't have to pay for the luggage because I flew first class over here. And so it gave me like a luggage allowance. And then the stuff that I had in my home, I had gotten a bunch of furniture custom. Oh my God. That was a boo-boo. Because in my mind, I thought I was going to move with my job and they were going to pay for my stuff to move. And so I was like, oh, let me buy all this big ass furniture. And I ended up giving most of it away. I mean, I had gotten, 5 years out of it? Yeah, about 5 years out of it. And probably, in hindsight, and this is how I made it right in my head, was I had gotten more use out of it because of COVID than I did if I were working, right? If nothing had happened, the pandemic didn't happen. Because I was out of the house, 10, sometimes 12 hours in a day. So I'm only, sitting at the table, sitting on the couch for a hot minute out of every hour. So those years I was home, I actually got more use out of the furniture. So I was like, okay. And then I had gotten a little happy feet girl. Okay, how do I figure out the budget for my abroad living? I just enrolled a Blaxit. Family is here. Yes. We have workshops in there on budgeting and how to get your budget ready. But some of the tools that I shared earlier are Numbeo. Let me put that in the chat. No, Earth awaits. Those are, and then I also like to use, because now Google tells you when you use something all the time. I use this thing like almost on a daily basis. Um, uh, my interest calculator, because I'm doing some projections. So I'll put that in the chat for you. Yay! All right. Let's see. Yes, I know. It'd have been even better if I didn't have to go back. But I do occasionally. It's fine. Yes. They'll be in Blaxit Global Passport. You're welcome. Okay, I'm going back to the top because I think I had missed some comments, and if I didn't get to your questions, I'll hopefully see them when I scroll back up. Okay. TJ said, crazy how we really realize the con as we get older. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, those millennials and Gen Zs. Yes, everything breaks. Yeah, it's designed to break. It's designed to break. Back in the day, I used to, for years, because, when you're of a certain age, you're used to certain things. So I have big feet. I have big feet, and I have flat feet, big flat feet, right? And so I wear down my heels when I used to wear heels, and I had to get, I would take them to the shoe repair. I remember being in college, my kids were little. I've always taken my shoe to get repaired. I had some stitching that had to happen in some clothes I had bought. And I took it to the tailor. Like I didn't go, oh, I'm gonna buy another dress. I got no money to buy a couple dresses. But I was like, no, I fix it because I'm just of that, But now it's like, buy another pair, sneakers. I used to wear sneakers. I mean, I still wear sneakers. Sneakers used to be buy a sneakers, and sneakers would last you. Now I have to buy sneakers every 3 months, partly because I walk like 15,000 steps a day, and the calzadas here. Woof. But like even these expensive ass sneakers, they're like, oh, you've gotta get a new pair of sneakers every 6 months if you really want to support your body, right? It's crazy. Tiny said my Nokia lasted forever, even though it, yeah, yeah. Think about it. Back in the day, yeah, everything's a scam. And now that there's been too many people using those, travel hacks, too many brown people showing up in spaces that they don't feel we should be there anyway. But I saw yesterday, was it Chase Reserve? The annual fee on that card is now going to be $795 a year. Yeah, they get you for memory, for storage, all of that stuff. So yeah, I used to take my stuff. I still take my stuff and get it fixed. because I want my money to last. And I want my money to make money babies. So when I look at my accounts, which I do, I'm always looking at, okay, how do I make this work harder with the least amount of effort? Because I don't want to do no work. I don't want to do no work. Is there a bank balance requirement? Yes, it is. This year, I think because the cost of living is going up and the wages have gone up this year. So I think the new number is somewhere around 12,000. Because when I came, it was 9 or 10. And once you do the conversion, I think it was around 10. I think it's around 12 now. We have to remember, like every country at the end of the year, in Mexico, Mexico's high. They do their cost of living adjustments. So, that's why you try to enter on the year, before it crosses over. I think I answered that one. You're welcome. What are some tips for generating income for someone unemployed and struggling to find employment? Yeah. One, I would say coaching. Get in community and get coaching. That's going to be key because there's a lot going on. You've got feelings about leaving your employer. You've got feelings about your marketability. There may or may not be headwinds. Ageism is real in America. And so sometimes the older you get, the bigger the target is on your back, as well as sexism. So you have to be strategic. When I lost my job in 2013, I pivoted into digital marketing and got unemployment to pay for me to get a mini MBA. So there are things that you can do to take advantage of either workforce grants, workforce retraining. You can start to think about how you can generate income. Like I said, some people have these beautiful voices that you guys are sitting on, or ability to be a virtual assistant. Some of you everybody has a skill or ability or something about them, their secret sauce, that comes effortless. Usually that's the thing that's going to allow you to get your feet, like get up, dust yourself off. It may not be the thing that you have to do forever, but it's going to build your confidence back. When I lost my job in 2013 and I knew I wanted to pivot it into digital marketing, I created a digital marketing company. And I had come out of politics at that time. Not that first stint. It was kind of like political affiliated, not affiliated, I don't even know how to say. We administered programs on behalf of the government, let's put it that way. And I was like, no, social media, digital marketing. So I went, got retrained, created my own digital marketing company, and put myself out there. Started speaking I remember I spoke at Rutgers, got into an entrepreneurship community, Rising Tide Capital. So if you're in New Jersey, hook up with them. There are programs like that across the country. But those are the things that you have to do because you need to build your muscle. And entrepreneurship will require that you think differently than you did as a W-2 employee. You have to think differently about how you manage your time. Not all money is good money, right? Attracting clients, depending on the type of work that you're doing. Taxes, all of those things. So that's where I think coaching is going to be important to help you with that groundwork, so that, because you want to, especially if moving abroad is your goal, you want to get to the right answer faster. Okay. I think I answered that one. I think I answered that one. I'm so glad I got to see all you guys on Juneteenth. Let me see. Ooh, am I forgetting anybody? Let's see. Yeah. La la la. Yeah, everything in the US. Yeah, even with the whoa. Not before 10. My homeowner's insurance and property taxes are now more than my original mortgage. Sheesh. Yep. House ain't always a blessing. Yeah. Property taxes. I was watching this video the other day, and it was like how much, it's like you buy a house and then you have property taxes and you have homeowners fees, right? Or sometimes HOAs and all stuff. Like you never really own, even when you own the home, you never really own it. And the taxes in Portugal, once you buy a property, or really anywhere else in the world, like once you own it, it's yours. You're gonna pay the taxes on the upfront, and then it's yours. Like, what is this ongoing thing? Remember property taxes? I had bought my house when I was still married, and when we were in Albany, I think our taxes were like $2,000 a year. And then we moved to New Jersey, and the taxes were $8,000 for a postage stamp backyard. And then by the time the house sold, I think, which wasn't that far because we got divorced and everything, it was, I think 11,000. I was like, what the hell? What the hellion? Crazy. Yes. College stopped being free once that happened. Yeah. One of the first colleges, so you spend any time, or any of you, I know some people are tuning in from Pennsylvania and Lehigh, right? Lehigh Valley. There was a railroad baron, Asa Packer, and they have a mansion, the Asa Packer mansion, and I forget the son's name. There's two mansions. They sit next to each other. Asa, I think, is the father, if I remember correctly. He founded Lehigh University, and the son's mansion that sits next to it's, just a driveway that separates the two of them. And that one is, I always wanted to go to the murder mystery weekend. I think it's the #1 murder mystery weekend, if that's your thing. I wanted to try it at least once in the US. And so, or at least it was at the time when I was hanging out there. So this is going back like 12-ish years ago. But anyway, Asa Packer was a railroad baron, and he created Lehigh University, and it was to also, make sure education was free. And he had created this endowment. Education was free in America. College education was free in California. College was free in America until the civil rights movement. Once they had to educate us and they couldn't keep us out. And then when Reagan, who was governor of California, he was very critical. And there was this tension, which, right, history repeats itself, between academia and these Republican politicians were like, oh, now we don't want you to be so smart, right? And the media, of course, right, they dumb down. If it bleeds, it leads, right? And so he was definitely against, free education. And so that's when colleges and institutions in California went for profit. And once they got a taste of the green, fast forward to the 2025, that's why we have Harvard sitting with a 53 or 56 billion dollars with a B billion-dollar endowment. Because while they wanted to blame, students for wanting to be educated and improve their quality of life, what they didn't control for were colleges that kept raising the cost of tuition that outpaced wages, that outpaced cost of living, that were just willy-nilly and definitely it wasn't that the professors were getting paid a lot. And when I moved my daughter into her dorm, I was like, yo, this literally looks like jail. I was like, this looks like a prison. She thought it looked like a prison. I was like, what the hell? No AC. This building was built in like the 60s or 70s. What? And y'all got the nerve to be charging what you charging? Scam. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom's dealing with that. Yes. Ooh, when I sold my house, I was like, never again. Yes, it's very different how it operates in other countries. Outside of the US, totally different. So, example, they have, heredity, right? So you own a home. Let's say I own a home. I pass on in Portugal. My house goes to my heirs, and you also pay a life insurance. Your home has a life insurance policy if you have a mortgage, because upon your death, the life insurance is to pay the bank the remaining balance on what you've borrowed so that the home can then pass to your heirs, because banks don't want to own homes, right? And so that's how it operates, at least here. It may work that same way in other countries. But, other countries, like if you've seen the video with Thea, who was a guest on the Blaxit Global podcast that lives in Milan, Italy, with her husband and son, she was recently featured on CNBC and talking about her $40-ish thousand remodel, most of which the government paid for. You don't say, right? So yeah, it's completely different. TJ, my concern is rent abroad is going up astronomically. Yeah, SMA, Lisbon. Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is that there are a bunch of things, right? It's not one thing, at the end of the day. My take on it, right? N of one. Is that you have, and I can only speak to the Lisbon or Portugal market, is that you had the people being more remote in mass because of the pandemic. People were traveling that couldn't go back to their home countries. There's digital nomads, there's retirees, there's all these things, right? Then you still had, in the case of Portugal, the leave behind of the 2008, 2009 crisis, which the economy was a global economic crisis that Portugal was recovering from. That's when it introduced the Golden Visa Scheme. It introduced things like NHR. You saw people from other countries, the European countries, because again, borderless in the EU, that can come from France, Germany, other places, buy up property. That was one thing. But they being Portuguese, get a lot of property by inheritance. So my landlord is Portuguese. Most people that I know, their landlords are Portuguese. And so they're the ones that are setting the price. And I get it, right? If you're in a country that wages are low, and now you have this new pool of eligible buyers, right? If you're Portuguese and you're renting to another Portuguese, you only can move that number so much because you know the wages are low. But if you're now looking at somebody coming from Switzerland, coming from the United States, coming from Sweden, Netherlands, these countries that have bigger money to spend, not to mention also during that time, Airbnbs. So people were coming over and buying, and not just coming over, Portuguese people themselves, right? Having an extra unit. Oh, let me turn it into Airbnb, get extra income. So Airbnb was not monitored the way it needed to be in many markets. And so it is a confluence of things. It's not just one thing. It's not just Americans moving over. It's not just this, right? It's the combination of all of these things that have contributed to it. And the lack of government intervention in creating a new system that allows for some type of control. Um, so you are seeing some things after the fact where in Spain, actually, and by 2028, they are phasing out Airbnb. So there are countries that are taking bigger steps to intervene and remedy it because at the end of the day, they have to take care of their citizens. That's what I want from any nation. And I was actually happy. I found out today that I could vote. I was like, what? I could vote here? Now, I can't vote in the national election. I can only vote in the local election, which those are happening in October. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I could vote here. It's getting me ready. But yes, I get it. Rents are changing, things are happening. It's very fluid. But that's also one of the reasons why people shouldn't wait and, have more than one country in mind. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time I think about buying something, buying a car, I'm like, nope. I was like, no, I'm not buying no car, especially the way I travel. Buying out no house neither. I'm like, no. Mm-mm. Tanya, I have my family home. Oh, I'm so sorry about your mom passing. I paid for a leak under the slab in the wall. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I came here, I locked my rent for 5 years. I was like, I'm not going through the foolishness I went through in the US. I don't want a rent increase. How about we do that? My landlord said, okay, cool. Got you, boo. We ain't got no problem. Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, they are down to the tomfoolery. They putting the names, Confederate names back on the bases and stuff. Homeownership and yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't file a claim. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's like with a car. Like, ooh, you get into an accident, you better look under the cushions and find that money. Yes. Yes. Let's see. Mhm. Absolutely. Mm-mm. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Ooh, thank you. Oh, I hope you are having the time of your life. Uh, Calculate our rent by the year. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to do the math. Do the math. Doing the math changed my life. Doing the math allowed me to retire early. Because you can't mess around in hypotheticals. I get my calculators. I run scenarios. Like I said, I'm already running a couple of scenarios right now. Okay, I think I got to. Oops. I think I got to all of the questions. Did I? Yeah, child. As of yesterday, they're trying to crack down because they don't want all these people in the lounges, and they don't want us up in there. Yay! Thank you, thank you. What concerns you about it? Hey, depends on what country that you're looking for. Yeah, you caught that right. Woo, child. Yeah, that best schools. Best schools is code word for white schools. Mm-mm. The best schools. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Greta. I appreciate it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, no regrets. Okay, I think I answered all the questions. I looked. No problem. I understand. um, TJ said, one of the happiest times was when my wife and I rented in a luxury building, still less than my current mortgage and expenses. Love calling me since, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, Southeast Asia. Y'all already know. Once I've had my fill of Portugal, me in Southeast Asia, mm. Oof. When I tell you I had a blast every time I go to Southeast Asia, I love it. All right, so I'm gonna call it here because it is seven. Ooh, I still don't know what to do. I still got 2 hours of daylight here in Portugal. Sun don't set till 9 something now because we're in summer. So thank you for rocking with me. Hope you had an amazing Juneteenth. Hope you have an amazing Juneteenth because there's still quite a lot of day left for all you. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, if you are in Blaxit Global Passport or are considering joining, this will be a good week to join because we have our workshop going on with Start Abroad. It's also another workshop not run by me that I just dropped in the group today. We have our accountability group for July that will be posted, and it will happen in the second week of July because I forgot. First week of July is Independence Day, something like that. Yeah, okay. Tune in next Thursday. I will be going live from another country. I realized the other day this will be my 6th country in 6 months. And so we'll be celebrating my birthday as well as Blaxit Global turning 5. So appreciate you all for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. As always, be safe. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's video, and I'll see you next time. All right, ciao, ciao.